Gen V Season 2 has all but ruined The Boys' chance for a satisfying ending by putting the show in the ultimate Catch-22 scenario from which it's virtually impossible for the writers to deliver a worthy ending. Because of Gen V Season 2's silly Project Odessa retcon and its buildup of Marie Moreau as an ultimate soup who should be able to control or kill Homelander, The Boys Season 5, not to mention Gen V itself, will now inherently feel incomplete from a logical standpoint if Marie, who's confirmed to join Starlight's resistance at the end of Gen V Season 2, does not fight and kill Homelander. But on the other hand, The Boys Season 5 will also feel unsatisfying from a narrative standpoint if Marie does fight and kill Homelander, because The Boys at its heart has always been about the war between Billy Butcher and Homelander. Marie hasn't even appeared in The Boys yet. Fans of exclusively The Boys and not Gen V will hardly even be aware of her identity, and they won't really care about her story either. So it's going to feel like a cheap cheat to those viewers if she's suddenly presented as the magic bullet that's capable of doing what The Boys has been following Butcher as he tries and fails to do for 5 whole seasons now. And they're going to feel even more so cheated if she actually does do it instead of, or probably even alongside, Billy Butcher. That's the problem. And it is a problem that the creators of The Boys made for themselves when they broke the seminal unwritten rule of cinematic universes by making Gen V as a spin-off show from The Boys, then causing the narrative of The Boys to be so drastically affected by the narrative of that lesser spin-off show. Anyway, there is a solution to the problem, a way to respectfully pay off Marie's story from Gen V while also not cheapening or ruining the ending of the story of The Boys. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to please everyone, but it's practically the only feasible way out at this point. This plan should unfold over 2 episodes and should start near the end of the first of those episodes. The boys, Butcher, Huey, Annie, Frenchie, MM, and Kimiko, should be placed into a perilous and unwinnable position where maybe their hideout is compromised and they're forced to fight 5 or so soups who are sent by Homelander to finally finish them all off. Homelander and Soldier Boy don't come to do it themselves because they're busy following a hot lead in order to find the V1, but Homelander personally sends, let's say, Black Noir 2, The Deep, Livewire, Dognot, and Love Sausage. The boys are overwhelmed and they're about to die. Then it turns out that Annie made a distress signal right before the fight to the Gen V kids who happen to be in the area on another mission. The episode ends as the Gen V kids arrive, save the boys, and help them win the fight by killing the soups. MM naturally kills Love Sausage, finally settling that score. Annie kills Dognot. Marie is a big part of that win and demonstrates heightened use of her powers by personally killing Black Noir 2 and The Deep, and that would serve as a strong introduction for the Gen V kids, and especially Marie, into the world of The Boys, while also giving a suitable exit to The Deep and Black Noir 2, who are relatively major secondary antagonists, but who've also never really risen in this show above being basic lackeys. But that's how the episode ends. The Gen V kids save the boys, the hostile soups die, and the boys escape but are badly battered. Then, in the second episode, the boys are forced to take refuge with the Gen V kids in one of their safe houses because the boys' safe house was compromised in the previous episode. The Gen V kids bond with the boys. Let's say Sam and Emma get along well with Huey. Maybe Kate gets along well with Kimiko. Maybe Annabeth gets along well with Frenchie. And maybe Marie gets along surprisingly well with Butcher. The whole team realizes that Homelander is one hair's breadth away from getting hold of the V1 and that he has to be stopped. Marie, who's been shown before in Gen V to have something of a savior complex, becomes convinced that she's the only one who can possibly stop Homelander before he achieves godhood, because every other plan by the boys up until now has failed. Butcher is naturally willing to use her as his Homelander killing gun, and he even stokes the flames of her savior complex in order to manipulate her into taking immediate action, while the rest of the gang are more reticent to send Marie after Homelander and are more considerate of the risks. Butcher, again naturally, betrays the rest of the team by sneaking off and taking Marie and maybe Sam along to follow up on a lead regarding the only place where Homelander and Soldier Boy might get a sample of the V1. Butcher, Marie, and Sam find Homelander and Soldier Boy and engage them in a fight for the V1. Sam and Butcher versus Soldier Boy, Marie versus Homelander. Butcher and Sam dominate Soldier Boy, though it is still a hard fight. Marie struggles against Homelander, but actually does start to own him when she uses her full power. However, before she can actually kill him, Soldier Boy manages to help him get that sample of the V1 into his body at the last possible second. And just like that, the tide turns. Marie's powers are no longer capable of killing Homelander and can barely harm him. Homelander owns her, Sam, and Butcher. We get a call back to the first time Homelander met Marie at the end of Gen V Season 1 when Homelander lasers her again, but much more effectively than that first time, and nearly kills her, possibly cripples her. Marie, Sam, and Butcher survive, though, when Annie, Kimiko, and the other Gen V kids show up and rescue them, temporarily distracting Homelander and pushing him back. It's more than clear that Marie is never going to be capable of beating Homelander in his current overpowered state. It's clear that if she fights him again, it'll be suicide. So she retreats alongside the badly injured Butcher and Sam and the others, and they barely manage to escape. The boys and the Gen V kids make it back to their safe house, licking their wounds. Annie and the rest of the boys are furious with Butcher for almost getting them all killed. The rest of the Gen V kids are furious with Marie and Sam for going along with Butcher. Meanwhile, Homelander, having achieved godhood, decides that he's tired of controlling the United States president and instead now wants to be president. But not just of the United States, but also of the entire planet Earth. He sees being world president as the modern equivalent to being God. And that's how the episode ends. And that, I think, is the best and possibly the only way to execute the Homelander-Marie fight so that it respects Marie's story and character while leaving room for that final Butcher-Homelander fight later towards the end of the season. It's not perfect, but as I said, it's perhaps the only workable way at this point to honor Gen V's narrative while also honoring and advancing the plot of The Boys in a way worthy of the show's final season. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours.